Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Liverpool Latest. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. And most importantly, subscribe to never miss an upload. I would like to start today's video with something off the list here. Excuse me, wrong side. To the person who spread the rumor that Slot was reportedly going to be sacked today, today's Monday, by the way, and that did not happen, I want you to know, thanks for getting all of our hopes up. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day was ruined. Now, let's actually get to what the topics of the video are, which all kind of coincide with one another, if you can believe that, to some extent. Outside of the bad news of Slot not getting sacked today, I do have some good news, probably the only bit of good news we have that broke over the weekend. If you remember, I talked about the Andy Robertson deal with Tottenham and how they were in talks for a transfer. And I was kind of on the fence about it. And I didn't think it made a lot of sense, frankly, because I don't know why we would think about selling Robertson when, one, we don't have much depth at the defensive end anyway. And two, we would willingly transfer our vice captain. Like, that makes complete sense. So I was already skeptical of the deal. Apparently, talks were in place to begin with. So the good news is that deal is now off, and Robbo is staying as a part of Liverpool, at least until the end of his contract in the summer. Fantastic news. Because from a team morale perspective, because what message would that even send to the team if their vice captain was transferred for whatever reason? So I'm grateful that that was not the case and that we had something to at least smile about. It was probably the happiest I have seen Liverpool social media in quite some time, because everybody was super miserable after that loss. And I'm for one very grateful that Robbo stayed. So very good news to start the video. The thing is, now that good news has kind of started a trickle down effect, and it could potentially be bad news for Costas Tsimikas, who the loan or whatever we had him, I think it was a loan, to Roma has clearly not gone as planned. Roma, I think, are deciding to terminate the loan at some point in time, or were deciding to terminate the loan, which sucks because, I'm not going to say Costas Tsimikas is like the greatest player that we have on defense, but I did like him. That said, I feel bad for him here, because him getting recalled back to Liverpool was essentially riding on the fact that Andy Robertson had to go to Tottenham, it seems. And now that he's not going, and that deal has fallen through, what does that mean for Tsimikas? No idea. Because let's think about this from a logistical perspective, all right? Andy Robertson's already second choice at left back. And any other options we have at left back are very seldom as it is, but until Kirkes, God forbid, gets hurt, Andy Robertson's still our guy. Now, Tsimikas would basically be the number 3. And I don't think he's content with just sitting there being the number 3. He was more or less number 2 for a good portion of the time, when he would fill in for Robertson in lesser contests, or when he was ever injured. But the fact of the matter is, Tsimikas isn't really going to play all that much. So does the recalling from Roma make sense? And personally speaking, I don't think so. So it looks like he's kind of going to be in limbo, which is a shame, because obviously that relationship has not gone well. I wouldn't say it's as bad as the Harvey Elliott Aston Villa situation, But clearly, Roma sees no need for Kostas Tsimikas on the team, so they wanted to terminate the loan. And that whole deal was riding on the fact of Robertson leaving this month in January. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe he could still get recalled, but he certainly won't be playing a whole lot, if at all. So that's the thing. He's going to stay. I think he's just going to stay at Roma. And he was always, I think if they had recalled him, it would have been a move out of desperation to begin with. Let's just be completely honest, because now who do they have to replace Kirkez if Kirkez needed to be replaced for any reason? And frankly, at this point in time, if I'm being 100% honest with you, putting in Tsimikas for Kirkez with the way he's been playing is kind of a downgrade, a pretty massive downgrade, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So it wouldn't have made much sense to recall him anyway at the end of this loan. Another thing that's going on, which again, kind of trickling down from the whole deal of Andy Robertson, that deal with Tottenham going through, the Spurs are seemingly now eyeing Curtis Jones. Now, if you remember, Curtis Jones, he was looking for, he's been actively speaking out about his want to be a more prominent player. He's probably been one of our better midfielders as of the last few weeks, which is good for him. The problem is I think he's running out of a contract at the end of the summer, and the belief is he is going to be leaving. Where? No idea. But from what I have seen from James Wathland, he's been very active on social media making reports. It's a growing belief that Curtis Jones could leave the club in the summer, and which would make sense because some of the demands he's asking for, I'm not really sure Liverpool are willing to match or make a better offer on. And because from what I've been seeing, reports indicate Jones is looking for a significant salary increase, seeking £200,000 or dollars per week. Frankly, a level which Liverpool is reluctant to commit to because why would they? Frankly, up until the last couple of weeks, Curtis Jones has not seen significant play whatsoever. So I'm not really sure that I'm not really sure he's going to be getting that deal, even despite being a regular player for the last couple of months for him in some capacity, whether it be starting or a bench player. So my guess is if Spurs make the move, they'll get Curtis Jones. I don't know if they'll get Curtis Jones will be there for the money he wants, but I still believe that Curtis Jones could probably end up being with the Spurs in the summer transfer because it just makes the most sense, in my honest opinion. And it would suck because think about it like this. How many pure Scousers are left on Liverpool at that point? I mean, Alexander-Arnold left. And then I think Curtis Jones was the only other guy on that list. And of course, like other guys would be adopted as Scousers, but as far as like pure Scousers that I know of, I could be wrong, but I can't name anybody else other than Curtis Jones at this point in time. That's a part of the team. Maybe Harvey, but then again, Harvey may or may not be recalled to begin with anyway. So we'll just have to see what happens there. It's very much a different role than Robertson, though. I mean, obviously both are contract related, but it also comes down to the squad role. Being that Robertson, again, is a senior leader figure on the team, Jones is of prime age. He's 24 years old, rotation starter. He's tactically flexible, excuse me. And I just don't think they're going to give him that kind of money. It doesn't make any feasible sense to give him that kind of money right now. Regardless of if he's been playing consistent or not. I'm not saying he's got to get 200K, but he should get a significant amount of money that he's asking for. I just don't think, I think 200K is a bit steep of an asking price if that is the true number here. And I don't even know if Tottenham were willing to pay that price, but I'm sure they're looking for somebody, because if they're eyeing Andy Robertson, then jumping right to Curtis Jones, reportedly, I mean, maybe they're willing to pay something. Would not shock me one bit. So my guess is Jones leaves in the summer at the end of the season. And whether he goes to Tottenham or not entirely sure, but would not surprise me one bit if these reports are true. Last but certainly not least, I was hoping for this last section to be Slot getting sacked, but I have another article that I saw from Gary Neville, of all people, infamous Liverpool hater, it seems, every time somebody talks about him because he does the Sky Sports broadcasts. He is reported to have said that Liverpool are soft and, quote, nice to play against. Which, as much as we all don't want to hear it from Gary Neville, is a very uncomfortable truth. Because let's be honest, I mean, look at the unbeaten run that we have now snapped. Even then, we weren't necessarily dominant in any particular fashion, and if we were dominant, it was against historically teams that we have beaten, or lesser known squads or lesser funded squads who just didn't have the who were like in the lower levels of English soccer, like Barnsley. And then when we did win matches, it would be a struggle to win because I don't know why we like to collapse in the last 15 minutes of the match, but I mean, plenty of matches come to mind, Wolves specifically. I mean, I don't have to rehash this all to you. I talked about it yesterday, but then we look at the matches against Leeds, games we should have won. Burnley, a game we should have won. Fulham. And then, oh man, what was the one that we just had? Bournemouth, excuse me. I've tried to block those out of my mind, but yeah, the Bournemouth one still stings. Yeah, that was a loss that we certainly did not need to take. So, according to him, they're no longer feared. They're soft. And if I was an opposing side, I would say to myself, okay, I think we have a shot. So, problem is we just don't hurt teams anymore. Our duels are constantly being contested. Second balls are killing us. And the opponents, you know, at the time felt rushed to make any sort of moves. But now we're the ones that are in that position where, you know, our duels are being constantly contested or being won against for the other side. Our second balls aren't necessarily mattering as much. And we're the ones that are now feeling rushed or under pressure to score for whatever reason. And the weird part is that this is not a quote-unquote transition season for Liverpool, because you can't spend close to $500 million on elite players or players that are growing into their own on the squad and retain more or less the entirety of the core leadership and then suck. It doesn't make any feasible sense. I have not seen this dramatic of a shakeup, or I have not seen this dramatic of a shakeup in quite some time. And even then, we're still, on paper, this should be a team that wins. That's the thing. On paper, this should be a team, and many of us would call it, would be back-to-back Premier League champions and more, right? Maybe Champions League, maybe FA Cup, maybe Carabao Cup, you know, some sort of treble would be in there in some way, shape, and form. Yeah, it's not that. It's none of that right now. We'll be lucky if we win the FA Cup. I've been saying this forever. We'll be lucky if we win the FA Cup at this rate. Because I still don't think we're going to win the Champions League, and certainly the Premier League is out of the reach. So, and the thing I want to touch on too, which I've been talking about forever, but I'll reiterate, is that the softness that Gary Neville is mentioning here is both a tactical and a mental thing. because there have been plenty of times where players commit brain farts on the field, costing us severely. Um, Again, Konate has been at the scene of the crime for many of those. Van Dijk, as of recently, has also been faltering for quite a bit. Kirkes early in the season has been a problem. Verts wasn't doing too much up until the last couple of months. So, and then of course Isak had his struggles before he was injured. So it's a very rough thing. And you can also see, like, players are constantly looking for fouls, which they probably aren't going to get instead of the teammates, because, sometimes the teammates are the problem. I mean, I've been talking about this forever. Look at Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo consistently starts and yet offers little to nothing for the team for the most part, outside of maybe a goal every couple of weeks. He doesn't do anything to set up things. He just passes backwards or cuts through and kicks back. And then that just causes the whole thing to start over again. It's not the same ruthless team that we were used to seeing when we won the Premier League. And that is essentially where I'm at with this. It's it just is what it is. And it seems like they lost their credit where they earned last season, according to Gary Neville, which I can't frankly be in disagreement with. The edge that we have is gone. And I think that can only be changed by a changing of management. And Liverpool have to pull the trigger on that for it to matter. At this point, they should have done it today. Hire Gerrard as interim. And then everybody would be happy because it's Steven Gerrard, right? How much worse can we get at this point? Again, maybe an FA Cup. Not much. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Liverpool Latest. Please tell me what you think down in the comment section below. I would certainly love to hear from you. And of course, subscribe to never miss an upload, because we upload videos here on the channel every single day, or almost every single day. And know that when you do join the Liverpool Latest family, you, my friend, will never walk alone.